Hi everyone, good morning and welcome to a Facebook Live here today on the Innovation Hub page. And I've been really excited today. It's been very Christmassy here up at the Innovation Hub, and of course it is on Create and Craft at the moment, so it's really exciting. But today I'm sharing with you a little sneak peek as something that's actually coming up today on Create and Craft. So this is an exclusive, you get to see it before it goes on air. And I wanted to actually just share with you a few tips on how we use it. And of course, this is the Fleurs Extravagant Florals Foliage collection. So there's tons in here and there's loads to work with. And of course, while I'm doing some quick demos for you and showing you what's in this, you're more than welcome to ask me any questions. I will try and get you the right answers. And if not, I can definitely get those for you. Or anything you'd like to know about Fleurs or any tips, shoot ahead and I will be able to get those for you. So today, of course, I'm going to show you what you're getting in this collection, which is amazing. We've launched some of the large florals already on Create and Craft and you've absolutely loved them. And the first one, it was just amazing to see the reaction that you all guys had to the giant flowers. So this one's of course Christmas, so we've got poinsettias, we've got mistletoe, pine cones, holly, ivy and berries, everything that you would want from a Fleurs show, but extra large. And of course, when I say extra large, you can make these in any size that you want to. Once you've got the die set, of course, you don't even necessarily have to have a die machine for some of these dies. You can use them as templates. You can actually draw around them and cut them out. There's just so much flexibility with it, and that's what I love about Fleurs, is they bring you innovative designs every single time that we launch a collection, and that's why you all love it, because you're just always waiting for the next best thing from them. So, of course, I'm going to see if we've got any comments, and we'll crack on. So I may as well start by showing you what we're actually getting in this collection. And do excuse me if I'm a bit sniffly today. Hay fever has caught up with me finally. I thought I'd seen it through. So here you can see I've got two die sets mounted onto this board for you. And of course this one here is your poinsettia. And in there you're actually getting 12 dies, and these are huge. If I take a ruler here, just quickly, get a measurement here. The largest die is spanning up to 29 centimetres. Just under 29 centimetres. That's huge, that is massive. So if you think with this die set here, with this die that you've got, the largest one of these foundations that are nested, if you were to flip this over and have a petal on the other side, you're having a flower that's almost 60 centimetres wide, which is absolutely phenomenal. It's massive. And of course they are nested and they echo the original outer shape, but they go in smaller and then they start to change. So we've given you some variation in there. And then of course, look at this. This is one huge piece of metal that you're getting there. This die is amazing. And of course, that's your centre for your poinsettias. This is poinsettia leaf, so you can cut these in your pale red cards, all of your pearlised cards, which looks absolutely beautiful, but you can see the veins, the delicate embossing that goes through there. And I've been cutting this on 120 GSM cardstock, but I've noticed actually through cutting this, I can layer up about 3 at 120s at a time to get it through, so you can actually cut loads of dies at once with these. They're brilliant. But don't just take it as a poinsettia leaf. You could take this as to whatever you want. Maybe you're doing loads of vines, or maybe you wanted to do a big sunflower. These leaves will work for things like that as well. So there's tons of versatility in this. But just in that one die set, you're getting 12 dies. And this one here, you've got your holly, and these here all build up to make your pine cones. So they look like little flowers, which of course they can be used for flowers, but they actually build up and layer together to make a pine cone. And if I just give you a quick sneak peek before we get into it, if I actually hold it against a piece of white card, you'll be able to see the pine cone ever so slightly better. But look how cute that is. It is absolutely adorable. That's a little pine cone there made from those dies. And I've never seen a pine cone from Fleurs before. And I've definitely never seen one be made out of dies. So that for me was just so exciting. But in this die set here, you're getting 17 dies. So of course you're getting your nested holly. You're getting a small foliage holly as well to build into there. So you've got a variation of size. And you've got this mixture of shaped berries as well. And you've got berries that are joined together, and you've got singular ones of different sizes that you can link. And of course, you might be thinking, what are these up here? They look like little teeth. Well, these are actually separate fragments to your pine cones. So when you've cut your pine cones, you can actually, if you think of a pine cone when you've maybe gone through a walk or anything like that, and you've picked up a pine cone, you can see you get extra segments that sort of stick out. And these are exactly what that's for. So if you cut those individual little dies, you can take a pair of tweezers, or you do it with your fingers, and you can insert them into the pine cone after it's been assembled, and it sort of looks like extra large protruding ones that are coming out, giving it more natural shape, and it really does look beautiful. So those are just 2 die sets there. And of course, we've got the third one here. I love this. Look at how much you're getting on there. You're getting 26 dies. 26 dies on one die set of that size is phenomenal, and the value is insane. When you see the show today, launching at 3 p.m. with Corin, you're going to be absolutely blown away with it. But look at the stamens at the bottom there. That stamen set, if I take my ruler there, you can see it's about 14 centimeters. So you're looking at around about 5.5 inches. That's huge. But of course, with your stamens, I want to show you something with this. And when I first saw the stamens, and I saw the design team here working on it, and Kasia working with the Fleurs, she did something amazing, and I want to share it with you today because I got really excited because I instantly thought I could make a Christmas tree with that. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But of course, don't just take it as a centre for your flowers, take it as branches, extra foliage and snippets, little sprigs and things like that. But you're getting all of your nested dies in here and the mistletoe. So that's absolutely beautiful. You're getting your mistletoe shapes here, your nested ivy, and of course more berries here to add, and separate sized ivy as well in the bottom. So of course, let's get into it and make something. So let's start crafting. So I'll just pop these to one side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my die plates and use my Kit & Caboodle Pro Cut for this, because of course it's going to give me the precision cut that I want with these dies. And what I'm going to do is take the small piece of holly here. I've taken that from my holly set. So I'm popping it on my die plate, and what I've actually been using is I've been printing cardstock. So whatever cardstock you have in your stash, whatever colours you want to work with, go ahead and take those. But what I did is I just printed generic colours from past collections and get onto Minecraft Studio and mix up your own pages, make textured backgrounds and things, just to show you. These here are some that Kasia did on Minecraft Studio, and she just blended colours together, making backgrounds. So have a play with it, select an image, tile it, get loads of different swirl and blur effects, and once you cut those out and layer them up, the flowers really do come together. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my holly die, and I've got this piece of cardstock. I'm just going to fold it over and pop it there over the top to keep it in place. I've not taped it down because I'm only doing one die today. So I'm just going to stick that in there. And it's only a small die, so what I'm going to do is when it's cut through, I'm going to pause it and reverse it, and it'll come straight back out, which is an amazing feature with this machine. It makes your die cutting twice as fast, twice as fun, and really enjoyable. So you can see here my dies have cut out here beautifully, and this is 120 GSM paper that I've used. So technically there I've just cut through 240 with that because I've laid the two together. So you can see there my 2 pieces of holly. And it's actually embossed all of the veins in the lines through there, so you get a nice detail with every single die. And for the quantity of dies that you get in this, to have that much detail really is offering you a great amount of versatility. So always as well, keep your bits of die cut, your leftover scraps, because I'm going to show you what you do with these when we build the flowers. So I've got a tray filled with leftover scraps. Pop my die plates to one side. And I'm using my Kit & Caboodle hot glue gun for this. Amazing glue gun, always work with it with your Fleurs. It works with your foam. Of course, you can use these dies with your foam, but today I've chosen to work with paper because paper crafting with flowers I find very therapeutic, and everyone at the iHub here has been doing the same. So I've got some pliers here, and I'm taking my Fleurs wire here, and I'm just going to shorten this one down to around about 20 centimeters. And on the back of the leaf, you'll notice that's where the sort of the relief from the embossing is. I've flipped the leaf over, and then this is where your piece of leftover card comes in. So I'm just taking some scissors here, and if I just snip a little piece of this paper off, I'm showing you how to actually build the flowers, build the leaves onto a branch. So I'm just cutting there a small oblong. Pop my scrap left to one side, and you can see how that's coming to use, and you're going to keep on using it. Don't ever chuck them away. And of course I can still die cut with that piece as well, but of course I'm using this for a different purpose. So I'm going in here with my scissors, just snipping that point off there, just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hot glue gun across the back of my leaf, flip the stand up, and apply glue going to the back there, just like that. And if I place my wire straight over the glue, and then get my little oblong that I cut and place that over it, what I've actually done is locked that wire onto that leaf, and then that wire is now fully encapsulated. The leaf is encapsulated around the wire and it's not going to come off. Of course, if you want to, which is entirely up to you, if you were to take, for example, let's say 2 leaves, so here I've got 2 of those small holly leaves. If you were to pop your wire down like this, you could glue it to it like that, and then get the identical die cut and stick it over the top of it, like that, and then of course it's sandwiched in between the 2. And that I would probably do if I was going to be able to see the underneath of that, but of course with your foliage it doesn't matter because it's usually clustered together and it's fairly realistic when you've got them all built up like that. But that's another way of doing it, but that's my preferred method of actually being able to mount these onto wire. And to actually build up your holly, what you're going to want to do is, I've got a few others here that I've started to mount up, so let me just bring these into the scene to show you. So I've got a few that I've started to mount together, and I've taken my small one again, and all you want to do is start to bend them, and because that wire in there is giving you sort of like a spine, it's actually allowing you to mould it and keep it in shape. So as I bend them round like this, it's taking on the shape of the wire and allow me to actually curve it in place. And then you want to take 2 together, cross them over like this, and that's when you start to bind them together. Now you can add little bits of hot glue to this if you want to, but if you've left enough wire on, they will stay perfectly in place like that. So you can see there, they're starting to go together, and this is how we build our branches. So if I just take another one, you want to always start off with your smaller hollies, because of course, as a holly sprig grows, I looked up here and we've got a beautiful holly bush in our garden, so I took a bit of inspiration from that one. And you can actually see that the ones towards the top are the smaller, and the ones at the base of the branch, the bigger holly leaves that have usually started to maybe crisp up, and they're the really sharp ones. But of course when you're paper crafting, it's not sharp, it's not going to prickle you. So that's the beauty of that. I'm taking some pliers here and I'm going to shorten some of them. Of course, save all your scraps of your wire because they will come in use. And you can see what we're doing here is starting to build up our branch, and it all starts to come together like that. So you see how easy that is to achieve. And then you might be thinking, well, that looks beautiful, I can see that, but I can start to see the centre of the branch. Now that's where the beauty comes in with Fleurs. So with Fleurs, of course, we have got the tape that comes in your wire pack. It comes with your stamens and of course your tape. So this is a tape that activates when it's stretched, so it's smooth to touch, but as you stretch it, the stickiness starts to reveal. So if I just stretch the last bit, I can then start to actually wrap this over the top like that, and then you just start to loop it and wrap it round. So as I start to take more of this, loop it round, then you just have a play and start wrapping it around your branch like so. And really all you're doing with this is going over each joint to secure it all in place, but of course to cover those joints like so, and you just keep binding it round like this. And what that's doing is giving you a realistic branch. And of course you could paint this, you could do it in separate colours. It's entirely up to you, whichever project you're working with, but that actually covers all of the wire in there. So if I go to this one, and I kept adding branches to this and I kept going with my leaves, you can see how beautiful it is, and look at the size of those hollies. But of course if you wanted to, you could die cut these in black cardstock, pop them into your scan and cut, make them as big as you want to, make them as small as you want to. So really you're getting sort of the keys to the unlimited amount of fun you can have with these. But if you just look there how beautiful that is. And what I've done is I've spritzed this with some of my shake and gilt from Cadence, but of course you can use glitter, stipple paints on there to give it a snowed frost effect. It's entirely up to you. But we've got some berries as well. So what I've done is I've die cut some of my berries, and then just taking a foam mat and my Fleurs ball tool. I've been here 5 minutes and I'm already starting to make a mess. It's pretty normal for me. So taking a ball tool, I'm just going straight in like that, and then if you take a little bit of hot glue just on the back of your berry there, you can then just place these wherever you feel. So just start to pop them onto your holly, and then all of it starts to come to life. So if I start to take some of my berries, I can glue straight onto the holly there, put my berries on. I've also got my little sets of 2. So I'm going to take one of my small set of 2. I love this one because it's really dainty, but they've got such a nice effect to them. So you can see there my holly is starting to come to life. And if you wanted to, you could then add some wet glue to the top of these, dip them in glitter and start to really build it up. But I want to show you something else. And I hope I've got time because I really want to carry on and be able to get this in for you because it's so exciting. So if I pop my holly sprigs to one side, we've mastered the holly and now you can start to play with it and really get going. So we're going to do the pine cone. Now I want to show you how we create our pine cone. You probably can't see it because my top's black. So again, showing you there, this is your pine cone. So you can see all of the detail that's been built up in there, all of those layers. And when I first saw it, when Kasia made it, I thought, how on earth has she managed to do that? That's amazing. But when she showed me, it's so easy. So I've taken different coloured cardstocks, and of course you can use just plain brown for this. You can use whatever colour. You can actually get purple and blue pine cones. You can get green ones, whichever colours you want to work with, entirely up to you. But I've taken some brown cardstock, some that I've printed, some that I've painted on, so loads of different effects, because once they're all built up, you get really nice finished effect with those. So what I'm going to do is take my foam mat again, and if I take some of my Fleurs wire here, what I'm going to do is take my pliers and just loop over the edge, so I've created a hook on the end of there. You can see that tiny little hook, and if I pinch that together and then just curve it over so it's flat, what I'm then going to do is take one of my little pieces of pine cone there, so it's like one of the little flowers, take my bowl tool straight down here, and then I'm going to just rub that in and curve it up. And then if I pop a tiny bit of my, sorry, I left my glue gun right there in shot for you, I really do apologise. So taking a little bit of hot glue there, and then we're going to stab straight through the centre of the pine cone like that and push it all the way up like so, and then pinch it together because the top one is like a little cluster of pine cone fragments there at the top. So the beauty with the hot glue is it sets really quickly within a matter of seconds, and it holds, so you don't have to hold it there for ages. So that's our first one. I'm going to take a few more and just decoupage them up. All I'm doing is rotating through in the leaves to build those up. I'm going to take a few of different colours as well. And then as you've started to build these up, you can then start to work your way through in the different sizes of them. So you can make these as tiny or as large as you want to. So if you think about doing a wreath, how beautiful would a wreath look? Or maybe a wicker heart, added these two with some of the sprigs and some of the holly. But you can add these to your canvases, you can add them to your card fronts as well. There really is no limit to what you can create with the Fleurs, which is the beauty of the Fleurs brand, because they just bring you so much versatility. So I'm adding my hot glue. I'm going to take another one of my pine cones, pop it straight down, pierce straight through and push it up. Now this one is meeting the one at the top here, but I'm not pinching it up quite as much. So it's met there at the top. And then I'm going to take a bit more hot glue and I'm adding it to underneath of that die cut I've just put on, but wrapping it ever so slightly around the wire. Now I'm going to take my lighter coloured one, just because I want to mix it up a little bit, and pierce through again and push it straight to the top. So you can see there we're already starting to layer this up. If I get another piece of that white cardstock behind, it should be able to stand out. You can see we're starting to layer up there and actually build the pine cone. So I'm going to keep going with that just to show the effect that it will create. And it's really quick and easy to do. That's the one beauty of the Fleurs with this collection, is the quickness of it. Sometimes I used to think that making flowers would be a really long process, which of course I actually would enjoy as well because it's quite therapeutic. But if you want this to be a process where you're making them to make and sell, you most certainly can do it. You can create your own production line with this, because it takes a matter of minutes just to create one flower or one pine cone. So you can create lots in a short amount of time. So I'm adding these together, and I've added about, I'd say around about 5 of those smaller ones. And then what I'm going to do, just let that set a second, I'm going to take my larger ones here. So this is where we start to build the sizing up. So the larger pine cone there, and I've got another larger one here. And this is my second size up, so I've used my smallest one to start with. So if I add a bit of my hot glue on the bottom here, like so, and then pierce straight through, and I'm going to go up again, marrying up to the one at the bottom, Let me get rid of my glue string that I forgot to get rid of. And then we're going straight underneath that one again with a little bit of hot glue. That's a technique I always forget to mention as well. When you're using your hot glue, after you've applied your glue, spin the glue gun and it wraps the glue around the blob itself and doesn't get you the string. But I sometimes forget to do it. So I've popped 2 of my larger ones on there so you can actually see the depth there going up. It's quite a good, you'll be able to see that. And then I'm going back to the small one that I started with. A bit of hot glue underneath, just like that. Spin the glue around and then pop it straight through the centre of the flower. Glide it up like that, and then your pine cone is done. How easy was that to create? But the effect is just beautiful. Now, to finish this off, I want to do something really pretty with it. And all I'm doing is taking a bit of PVA glue, so some wet glue, and adding tips of this, little drops of this to the tips of the pine cone. So you can see there what I'm actually doing is adding little blobs, just anywhere. It doesn't really matter where you're putting it. It really is a complete random thing. And of course, these are all natural elements that you're working with. So you're recreating nature, and of course nature is never perfect. So you really don't have to worry at all about things being correct, things being the right shape, because if you find a pine cone, you'd never find 2 that look the same. They're all different, but that you know exactly what one would look like, and that's the beauty of it. So I've added all that white glue there, and I've got a pot here with some glitter in. So I'm just going to roll that around in my glitter, just tap it ever so slightly. And what that's actually done is frosted all of the tips of my pine cone, and that glue will set clear and just leave the glitter behind, which is exactly what it's done with this one here. So it's just left the sparkle that you see, and these all clustered together look beautiful. And just before we finish, I'm going to squeeze in one last thing for you to see. So that big stamen that you saw on the bottom of this die set, of course here, so we're using this big die set here, that big stamen that goes across the bottom, I want to quickly show you something you can create with that. Because of course, Corinne on the show will be showing you how to make the big flowers, but it's the little bits like this that we don't always have time for on the shows that I wanted to share with you. So I've taken 2 die cuts of the sprig here, and what I'm going to do is just put my bowl tool into the actual sprigs that come out, the stamens, and really what I'm doing is I'm kinking them, I'm bending them, flip it the other way, bend some more of them, and I'm actually punching the bowl tool down into them. So I'm actually perforating all of the paper, giving it some texture and some movement, because this is going to help us develop that dimension of the sprig that we're creating. So punching it down again like this, and I'm going to take some more of my Fleurs wire. Now this wire, actually, I forgot to mention, it is brilliant. It's sturdy, but it's so flexible, but it's actually got a paper coating to it, so it adheres to your glues really well. If you're using a wire that's got a metal coating or a plastic coating, sometimes it can be difficult to get a glue that will adhere to that, or sometimes it can pop off. But with a paper, the glue absorbs into the surface, meaning that all of your actual craft items lock into place. So it's an amazing feature of that. And it's something that I never really thought about at first, but it is brilliant. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my wire again, just to give me a little loop at the top, because it gives me a starting point and it's somewhere for my fleurs to grab onto. Tiny blob of hot glue at the top here, like this. And what I'm doing then, if I move some bits and bobs out of the way, hopefully I'm not building up a barrier there, I'm going to take that sprig and just pop it onto the top at an angle and squeeze it round, just like that. Pinch it and squeeze the top. So we've created essentially a little flag there, okay? And what I'm going to do then is just take the end like this. If I move this out of the way, you'll be able to see. Take the end like that, pull it towards you and start spiraling it around. So if I just bend that over slightly, spiral it around just like this. Twist it and keep on twisting. You notice that all of the stamens start to ping out like this, and this is creating like spruce sprigs for you, so like those little branches you get on the tips of Christmas trees. Add a little bit of hot glue into the bottom and then tighten it up by spinning it in the same direction you just were doing, and that glue will nip it all into place like that. And if I take my second one, I can add a bit of hot glue here, and obviously you can make these as long as you want to, but I mentioned to you at the start when I said I found a way you can make your own Christmas trees. This is the way you could do it, because you could actually make miniature Christmas trees with your fleurs and actually make bunches of these branches and bind them all together like we did with the holly. and that would give you the same feature, which I just think would look amazing. And imagine being able to say to someone, a little mini Christmas tree you've made yourself. So I've bound all of that round again, taken a little bit of that hot glue on the bottom there, tighten it up, wrap it in, give it a nice pinch at the bottom. Of course, if you're ever left with any glue strings on any of your fleurs, whether it's foam or paper, if you've got a heat gun, once you've done it all, just quickly blast over with your heat gun, and any strings that you've actually got laying over the surface of anything like a web, it just instantly gets rid of it and it hides it, it clings together and you will never see it. So it's a really quick and easy way to get rid of any of that. And you can see here, all you then want to do is just ruffle it up a little bit. And if I grab some of the others that I made earlier, you can see here we've got a little set of foliage. It almost looks like, I don't think it's fennel. I'm trying to think of the herb it is, but it reminds me of that, and it just looks so nice. So if I put these together, you could then start to build in your pine cones. You could then put some of the holly into the background like this, and of course bunch it together with any holly sprigs you've done, and you actually start to create your own little shootings. Now these little sets like that, a cluster, you see these in garden centres and they're like £10 each time, and I've created that from just using a handful, not even a handful, just a few of the dies from the Fleurs collection, and you can see how foliage comes together like that. So we've got the holly in there, we've got the pine cones, we've got the stamens from the flowers, and you can frost this all with your glitters, you can put your sprays on here, do anything you want to. But that's just, I really hope it's been able to show you how you can actually put the dies onto wire and build them up, because sometimes when you get the die sets like these, they just look amazing when they're all out, don't they? But I look at it and instantly think, right, so where do I start? What do I get? And things like this hopefully will be able to help you sort of know where to start with them, but have a play with them. As soon as you get your dies home, get them all out, do a few die cuts and start building things up. Of course, no two die sets have to be standalone. You can all work together. So you can always put your holly with your stamens, you can always put your leaves, build up, make a vine, put your holly leaves in there, make your ivy from your other set, put some holly in there, put some pine cones in there, combine them all together. But think of the beautiful gifts you could make at Christmas, because of course the one thing I found funny is that at Christmas we all get poinsettias. In our family we've always had a poinsettia at Christmas, and we can never seem to actually keep it alive, and they look absolutely beautiful, then one day they're just gone. With this, you've got one that you can fetch out of the loft each year, each round, for every member of the family or any of your friends, and you can decorate them differently every year. So, or of course you can make another one the next year. You don't have to worry about watering it, and they look realistic as well when you're adding all of those glitters and your pearl cards. So of course 17 dies, 12 dies, and in that other set there, just to show you, this is the one where you're getting 26 dies. So there's an amazing amount in here. There's just tons to work with. But of course, any questions that, if you've managed to see the live or managed to watch it after it's been on, of course, drop any questions in there. I'll be able to get back for you. But today the show is launching at 3 p.m. on Create and Craft with Corinne. So do check out the show, because it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see it. And of course, anything crafty, anything Christmassy that's crafty is anything that I can get into, and this has just been an absolute joy to work with. So happy crafting everyone, and I hope you've enjoyed the live, and I'll see you later. Merry Christmas.